Thank you so much, and good morning to all. First, let me thank the organizers for inviting me in this forum. I'm very delighted to be here and to represent our Secretary General, who happens to be unavailable for this particular forum. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the Ministry of Trade and Industry of Singapore, particularly the Energy Market Authority, for organizing this very important forum and for highlighting the important role of energy sector in ASEAN today. The theme of this forum on accelerating energy transformation is, I think, for me, very timely and very appropriate. Again, given the increasing importance of the energy sector in the region's economic dynamism. In fact, when I look at the theme for this conference, it is actually very much related to what we're doing in ASEAN over the years, particularly in our efforts to transform our region to become a very competitive region in the world. Okay? And I think it is very important that we are here to talk about energy security and energy efficiency in that matter. For example, if you are following what's going on in ASEAN within the region, the ASEAN Economic Community, in my view, is perhaps the best strategy that the region has implemented over the years to develop a more stable and prosperous region. Under the AEC, the way we look at integration is that we look at economic integration as the way to enhance the efficiency of the consumption and production within the region. But at the same time, I think this is a way for us to also expand the economies of scale within ASEAN, as well as to accelerate investments in physical capital, technology, and people. For us, these are the key elements that will sustain the resilience of ASEAN region moving forward. In fact, since the ASEAN Economic Community was established in 2015, around 4 years ago, ASEAN has remained very committed to supporting the markets, particularly in our efforts to reduce transaction costs in the region, to open up our investment and services markets, as well as to transform the region to become a very competitive region. When I look at all these achievements, I think they say a lot, or they imply a lot in terms of how energy sector will be affected, particularly the energy demand. Again, as you all know, ASEAN is, I think, one of the most dynamic regions in the world. Our GDP growth over the last 20 years, for example, grew about around 5% on the average, which is higher than the global average of 3%. I think this robust economic expansion has also translated into significant expansion in energy demand. For example, estimates suggest that energy demand in ASEAN has grown by 80% since 2000, and I think that figure is also much higher than the global average. And in the coming years, it is also expected that ASEAN will continue to drive the global energy trends in the world, particularly by 2030, when ASEAN is expected to become the fourth largest economy in the world. In my view, such momentum is very impressive, but at the same time, I think it presents a very tremendous challenge for the region in terms of meeting energy demand in ASEAN, particularly in terms of our ability to provide accessible, reliable, and sustainable energy for all. Already, I think this situation is already impacting on the energy landscape in ASEAN. Estimates from IEA, for example, suggest that there are around 134 million people in the region that still don't have access to electricity, in addition to around 247 million people that still rely on traditional biomass for cooking. When I look at all of these statistics, again, it is very alarming, considering that a lot of challenges are involved in terms of meeting this energy demand. In my view, I think it is very important for the region at this point in time to come up with a more comprehensive action and solution to address the many energy challenges in ASEAN. particularly in terms of ensuring that there is energy security and efficiency within the region. I think it is within context that I would like to talk about the importance of energy cooperation and connectivity, and how this particular cooperation can help address the many challenges in the energy sector. In my sense, energy connectivity is about making sure that there is enough connection in the energy markets that would address the different challenges in our energy markets. Energy connectivity is actually an essential component of our regional connectivity. The way I see it, energy connectivity or the connectivity in ASEAN will not be complete without the connectivity in our energy markets. That is why it is very important we are able to address this issue. It is very important because, as I mentioned before, it will allow us to address many challenges in the energy sector, particularly our ability to meet the increasing demand for energy, and our ability to access the energy market or energy services, as well as in our ability to promote sustainable energy for all. I think one very good example here is the ASEAN Power Trading Initiative. Okay? By, for example, having interconnected power grids and pipelines, countries within the region will be able to reduce the number of people who don't have access to energy services. Through the exchange of energy also, we should be able to sustain the power generation in the region. And at the same time, through this power trading, we should be able to address the issue of energy security, in a sense that this power trading should allow countries within the region to diversify different sources of energy supply. And I think that is very important. In fact, when I look at energy connectivity, I also think that this is very key to an effective energy transition in the region. I think we are all aware that ASEAN right now, or energy transition in ASEAN is well underway. And many countries, in my opinion, are ready, okay, to adopt new energy infrastructure and technologies. But I think we are also aware that the transition, okay, to clean energy policies is not very easy. Primarily because that particular transition would require a strong political will among countries, as well as, in my view, very strategic decisions on the part of the countries to develop, for example, the type of investment decisions that need to be implemented, as well as the pricing strategy that need to be developed to be able to facilitate this energy transition. I think it is within this context that energy cooperation, again, is very important, in a sense that energy connectivity, for example, should be able to allow countries in the region to develop specific strategies that would balance energy mix with energy connectivity. For example, it is possible that countries should be able to develop investment strategies for resource sharing as well as for transmission of facilities. Under this scenario also, it is possible that countries should be able to explore transboundary options on how we can further diversify energy sources within the region, and how we can effectively share information among countries in the region, including, for example, policies and regulations. All of these, again, are very important to secure energy efficiency and security in the region. But in my view, while energy cooperation and connectivity is very important, I think the idea or the ability to connect our markets, our energy markets, as well as to promote a sustainable energy future in ASEAN will not be automatic, okay? In my view, we still need a lot of efforts within the region to be able to not only establish the critical energy networks within the region, but as well as to make sure that there is energy security, and at the same time, we are all working together towards eliminating what we call such thing as energy poverty. But I think we are not hopeless here. There are definitely solutions moving forward. And in my view, I think there are three important priorities for the region to ensure that this idea of sustainable energy future can be achieved. First, to make sure that we're able to enhance the energy connectivity and efficiency in ASEAN, it is very important that we invest in critical energy infrastructure and energy facilities. This, in my view, for example, the right infrastructure in the energy sector is important to be able and to allow countries to develop the right energy technologies, okay, for the region. But I think in addition to all these investment strategies, there's also a need for a more comprehensive approach toward financing these investments, particularly investments in the renewable sector. I think it is about time that the region is able to come up with more innovative solutions that would address financing constraints within the energy sector. Otherwise, no matter how attractive your investment projects are in the energy sector, without the proper financing mechanism, I don't think that will be possible. Secondly, to enhance greater energy efficiency in ASEAN, it is also very important that we have the right policies and reforms within the energy sector. Here I'm talking about policies and reforms that will try to address critical bottlenecks or barriers in the energy sector, particularly in the ability of countries to invest in energy infrastructure. I think we should be able to address barriers that prevent countries to invest in for example, in energy distribution and infrastructure. We also need, for example, to look at what are the different policies that would allow countries to correct distortions in the market, particularly in the way we price our energy products. Finally, we need effective policies to be able to ensure that the energy markets in ASEAN remain very effective in addressing different challenges in the region. For me, these are important not only in the case of the local country at the national level, but I think addressing all these different policy challenges will also be very important at the regional level. Finally, beyond infrastructure and the need for effective policies, I think it is very critical that we make this energy connectivity to work. In my view, energy security is not the end goal. For me, it is only the means towards the end. At the end of the day, I don't think it's the matter of having this ability to generate all this energy and power in this country. What's more important is to be able to create a mechanism to distribute this power and energy, to make sure that every country or every person in the economy is able to take advantage of this access to energy services. In closing, again, let me just take this opportunity and to emphasize the fact that issues relating to energy in the region are actually very challenging, particularly in the case of ASEAN. I think part of the challenge here is to be able to provide access to energy to all, while at the same time meeting the requirements for energy in each country, and at the same time also being able to raise the living standards of each individual person in the economy. Obviously, I think this would require a lot of actions, okay, in our ability, for example, to create more advances in our energy and supply efficiency. But at the end of the day, I think it also requires us, all stakeholders, okay, government officials, international organizations, the private sector, to work together to make sure that all of us are working towards a sustainable energy future in ASEAN. So with these remarks, again, let me just, again, say and to congratulate all of you for this forum and to wish you all a very productive discussion for today. Thank you so much.